You know, for most of us, a trip to the doctor is over the second we walk out the door. But here's the thing. Financially, that's really just the beginning. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the incredibly complex, hidden world of your medical bill and what happens after your visit.
So you've had a procedure, you go home, and then weeks, maybe even months later, this statement shows up in the mail. And let's be honest, it looks like it's written in a completely different language. It's this super common, super frustrating experience, right? But what is actually going on in that gap between your appointment and that bill? Well, it is way more complicated than you probably think.
That single visit, it kicks off this long, winding, and incredibly complex financial journey. It's a whole process that involves doctors, hospitals, special coders, and insurance companies, and they're all kind of speaking their own unique language of finance and policy.
The best way to picture it is like a massive, sprawling maze. This is what's known as the healthcare revenue cycle, and it's a system so complex that literally billions of dollars in payments can get delayed, denied, or sometimes just, poof, lost every single year.
Now there's a fancy term for this whole puzzle: revenue cycle management. It's the entire financial life of your visit, from the moment you schedule that first appointment all the way through to when that final balance hits zero. And as you can probably guess, a whole lot can go wrong along that path.
So what are these roadblocks we're talking about? Well, for starters, every single insurance company has its own thick, complicated rulebook. A single, tiny error, like a wrong billing code, a missed pre-authorization, a misunderstood policy, can bring the entire process to a grinding halt. And that leads to a claim denial, and for the hospital, that's an unpaid bill that just keeps getting older and older.
But inside this maze, there's a special kind of hero at work, a financial expert we're going to call the revenue detective. Their real title is revenue cycle specialist, and their whole job is to navigate this maze and recover that lost money.
And look, we're not talking about some entry-level gig here. The real-world specialists, like Candice Pettis, who our source material is based on, they bring more than a decade of tough, hard-won experience to the job. Trust me, they've seen it all, and they know exactly where to start digging for clues.
So what's in their detective toolkit? It's this really powerful mix of skills. They need serious financial knowledge for things like accounts receivable, or ASR, recovery. They need super sharp analytical skills to figure out why a claim got denied in the first place. And they have to be tech-savvy enough to handle complex hospital software and all the different web portals for each insurance company.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does an investigation actually play out? Let's follow the trail of a denied claim and see exactly how these specialists work their magic.
Okay, it all kicks off with something called a denial code. The detective's first job is to figure out what that code, which is often super cryptic, actually means. Then they do a deep dive into that specific insurance company's policies. And once they have that knowledge, they build a logical, evidence-based strategy to appeal, with one clear goal: get back the revenue that the hospital rightfully earned.
And this is absolutely crucial. Success isn't just about arguing or being persistent. It's about deep, deep expertise. It's a profound understanding of the insurance company's own rules that lets these specialists successfully challenge and overturn those denials. Honestly, sometimes they know the system better than the system knows itself. But here's where it gets really interesting. The best detectives, well, they don't just solve one case at a time. They start looking for patterns. They want to prevent the problem from ever happening again. Their work starts to build into something way bigger than just one claim.
You see, you could work reactively, right? Just fixing one claim after another. But a true expert, a true detective, works proactively. They don't just solve the denials, they analyze them to find trends. They ask, hey, why are claims from this department getting denied so often? And then they built systems and new workflows to stop the problem at the source.
What that means is they're actually creating tools for the entire organization. We're talking about everything from high-level dashboards for executives to track performance, all the way down to crystal-clear protocols for what to do when a really high-value account is at risk. They become the architects of a smarter financial system, working with everyone from billing to coding to compliance. So, you might be wondering, why does all this back-office financial stuff matter so much? Well, because it draws a direct line to the patient care that we all rely on. Let me put it this way. Every single dollar that a revenue detective recovers is another dollar that can be put right back into patient care. That's money that pays for nurses, for new equipment, for better facilities. Their work is absolutely fundamental to the financial health of the hospitals and clinics we all depend on. So,
At the end of the day, this really isn't just about profits or the bottom line. It's about building a system where billing is accurate and efficient. That means fewer errors, smoother processes, and ultimately a healthier healthcare system for every single one of us.
And that kind of leaves us with a final question to chew on. When you think about the incredible complexity and the huge financial pressures on our healthcare system, just how much of its stability is actually resting on the shoulders of these hidden, unsung detectives who are diligently working to solve one financial mystery at a time?